And good evening, everybody. Welcome to an all-new episode of Holotheatre. As always, I am Dan Sertag Leone, also known as DTartag One. Joining me tonight is Mike the Hitman Kessling. How you been, Mike?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. It's good to see you.
Yes,
Congratulations on your move.
yeah, same to you. I heard you just moved, around town?
Yeah, moved closer to my office and my daughter's daycare, which 2 weeks in has been a very good decision.
Yeah, that's always good. Like, I mean, as long as you and the family are happy, that's what matters.
Yes, things are good. Can't complain.
So we got a big announcement from Mike tonight. We also are going to talk to uh, Eric Obasso on Gemp. I'm not even going to try his last name. We met him at Endor, but
I believe it's Eric Speaksma, but he's taught me how to say it before, but I probably just butchered it. But
yeah,
I'm gonna give my best guess.
yeah, that sounds familiar because he taught me on when we did the interview how to pronounce his name and everything. But I'm terrible with names. It's bad. Like that's why we moved from the spelling challenge to now the lore challenge because half the difficulty of the spelling challenge was me hearing me pronounce some of the stuff in Star Wars. But yeah, we got about a 45-minute interview with him. But right now we got a bunch of stuff going on in Star Wars. I know earlier today we did Johnny Chu versus Timo Dusel in the Retro League. That was kind of fun to stream. Uh, Going back to those older formats, Johnny ended up winning. And what's really cool is right now him and his son are 1-2 in the Retro League.
That's awesome.
So like it's just great seeing that Johnny's playing these older leagues and then he's teaching his kids how to beat everybody. Like it's not fair.
They are learning from one of the very best, so that's
Yep.
that's it's just incredible to see. Look forward to years in the future where maybe they're becoming multi-time world champion.
You know it's going to happen.
We can only hope. If so, that means the game's still going strong. So it's win-win for everybody.
Exactly. So, but really quick, let's go in and talk about Nationals. Nationals is 2 weeks away. And I think, Mike, you're going to it, correct?
I will be there, flying in midday Thursday, flying out Monday.
So you're going for the majority of it. Right now, we have 25 people signed up. A lot of your teammates are going. I noticed that.
We have a decent amount going. We also have, obviously, our team is large, so we have a few people not going. Notably, unfortunately, Drew and Jeremy are not joining me from Atlanta.
Uh,
Um, I believe at least one or two of the Minneapolis guys have prior obligations,
mhm.
but I think earlier this week, Matt Lutz thankfully got freed up from his obligation and is available. So that is exciting. He'll be playing in the main event.
Okay.
Greg is coming in as well. I think he flies in Wednesday night. So Brian Fred will be my roommate for the weekend as usual. But I think Matt Scott's coming as well. So we'll have a
Okay.
good representation from the team.
Yeah, I noticed Charlie's going. One name that I don't see on the list is Bill Kafer. Has Bill said anything about regarding him or he's going or not?
I don't believe he will be there. I think that he has volunteered to help with commentary, and I think he's limited to only a certain number of events for plane travel each year, and I think he's using those for other events.
That makes sense. So again, Nationals is the weekend of July 15th. If you are interested in going, the hotel information is still, I think it's like active until maybe tomorrow. So make sure you guys get your hotels booked and everything. It is going to be a really fun event. I know a lot of people, like we said, are going, and I know the numbers are in favor of Team New Allies, but like there's a lot of good people who are already signed up.
Never tell me the odds, Dan. Yeah, we may have a decent representation, but there's going to be plenty of good players there, and who knows what people will bring. This is the one of the only the second major in this meta. Also, it's nationals. It's easier, more accessible for most people travel wise. So who knows what's going to show up? I would not say that we are advantaged.
Yeah, and I know the defending champion, Joelson, he's already signed up. And Kendall Hallman, who has threatened to quit Star Wars for Pokemon, he's still signed up, so maybe he'll be bringing his 12-card Throne Room and Court decks to play in Nationals.
We can only hope. I would love to meet Court in person, so hopefully he's able to make it.
Yeah, because you guys weren't at Worlds, so it's kind of like funny that he was at Worlds, but you weren't.
Yeah, we were busy. Jeremy was getting married, so Drew and I were there for the wedding. I was in the wedding, so yeah, not an event that we could miss.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Checking up on the OCS really quick. Justin Desai is still undefeated at 12-0. Gavin, Steve Baroni, some guy named Troop 1023, Daniel Moore, and Brad Kipple are all 10-2. However, Justin Branch is sitting at 10-1. So if he is able to go to 10 or go to 11-1, he might be bumping somebody out of that last spot. And I believe Gavin is already registered for the top 16. Is that correct?
I don't believe Gavin is. Justin is. Mm-hmm. Brad Kipple is. Drew is. I don't believe that Gavin is yet this season or this year.
So yeah, if Justin knocks out Gavin, that would be kind of a little frustrating if you're Gavin.
Right. I mean, I think off the top of my head, Justin Desai is in. Mm-hmm. Bastion's in. Drew's in. Brad Kipple's in. Zemowit's in.
No.
MH, yes, CryptoFist qualified in one of the first 2 months.
You're right.
MHT is in the at-large for the first season, and I think I might be missing one person. But yeah, I don't think that Gavin is in.
No, it's Taco Bill.
Oh yeah, Taco Bill. Who could forget? He went 12. Well, he knocked Drew out in the first month. I had forgotten about the crazy 3 12-0s. Yeah, Taco Bill I think started off like 23-1 in the first 2 months this year.
Yeah, and what's happened to him lately? Like, has he just not figured out the meta?
He's on top of the meta. I think he has probably just been taking it less seriously since he had such a hot run and he's qualified. I think he's trying different decks, checking things out. He's in a bunch of different leagues too, so I think it's probably just an opportunity to try things he hasn't been playing as much. I could be totally wrong, and maybe he's playing the decks he always plays and just getting smashed. But if I had to guess, it's the first and not the latter.
That's fair. Yeah, and it's kind of rough for you because you're that fourth person right now. So I mean, you had a really good run, but it's just that strength, the opponent's win percentage.
I was thrilled to go 10-2 this month. So I went 9-3 each of the first 3 months. So I'm in pretty well positioned going into the second half for the season large, like one of the 2 at-large bids. So going 10-2 positions me well for the short term, like best record and or for the full 6-month record. So yeah, I went in this month hoping to go 9-3 or better. So 10-2 was good. And the games I lost, I flat out lost. I didn't make a mistake. Like, I don't think I made a mistake. I lost both games and was like, okay, that was a loss. Like, sometimes you just lose. So I was thrilled with 10-2.
And I to just correct myself earlier, if Justin advances and goes 11-1, it wouldn't be Gavin on the bubble. It would be Steve Baroni on the bubble. As right now, Steve is down by 1.08 percentage points on Gavin.
I forget how they changed the passing down rules this year, so I'm just going to defer to you.
I honestly don't know it either.
There's some 11-1 stipulation in it, but I don't know exactly how it works.
And then,
like, I don't think it passes down below if you're not 11-1.
Yeah, I think you're right. I honestly forgot like the rules for it, but it's a little bit different than it has been. So I'm just glad that people are like. It looks like it's still a really good tournament. So, and maybe we'll see Bill K for win it all. Really quick, the Father's Day.
Sorry to interrupt you, Dan. I double checked. It says a player can only earn a berth to the playoff if they finish the month within the top 3 and or with at least 34 points. So it'll pass down to at most third place from the way that reads, and you have to have gone at 11-1 or better.
Oof. That's rough.
Otherwise, that bid looks like it goes into the at large.
Okay.
So, for my own purposes, let's hope that happens. But otherwise, yeah, it seems like that's how it works.
So you're really rooting for Justin Branch at this point.
Apparently.
Yeah, and I will say this: if that's the case, then you really got to get a hold of Batmouse because Batmouse is the only one who beat Justin.
Good to know.
The Father's Day event is still going on. You have until tomorrow to get your games in. If you play the 12 games, you get the physical copies of the Like My Father Before Me and I Am Your Father virtual slips. Again, those look really cool. And then recently, Jared let everybody know that there's some leftover foils that are going to be given out based on performance, as well as some random ones, I believe. Don't quote me. It was a big thing that was on Slack the other day, but right now we have our top 8 is virtually set. The only person who might be able to crack the top 8 is Justin Miyashiro. He has the chance if he goes and gets 2 more wins. He would actually move up into looks like 5th place over Pat Johnson, thus knocking out Chris Kelly. So we'll see if that happens. But still got, like I said, you have until tomorrow to play your Father's Day events, all the games for that.
This is super. I didn't play all of my games, but I enjoyed that event immensely, and I actually already received the foil slips, and they look amazing.
They do. Like I was considering to play those in the Columbus event last weekend, but I made it audible on Thursday and decided to go with something else. And then right after Nationals, the 3rd annual Jawa Bunta Eve Brawl will be starting. So this is a free event. So if you want to play some Jawa games, all you got to do is submit a completed Google Forms questionnaire, and then you'll be signed up. I believe we have 52 players signed up. Right now, I like how Timo Dussel signed up as 12-0 and not Dylan. Seems a little fitting. Let's see. You are signed up, and I'm signed up as well. So definitely got a good list of players. Drew is signed up. Jared signed up. Justin signed up.
I completely forgot I signed up for this.
Yeah, 12-0 went 12-0 2 years ago in the first one. So it's kind of fitting that he decides to play in the Java Brawl, but. Hey, it's right after Nationals. Like, why not? Get free stuff.
I think that was the rationale. I vaguely remember being like, I should just do this, and sent the email very quickly and had forgotten. So I'm glad you said that. I would have just have not been playing.
So a few last things before we go into the interview. I'm going to look out for a forum post after the show regarding. I'm going to ask people to just do like a 30-second interview, just saying like some over the last 20 years regarding what the PC has meant to you. That way we can show that off at Worlds. That's something I'm going to be working on over the next few months now, especially now that I'm back east. So make sure you guys look out for the forum post regarding that. And then Mike, you have a announcement as well.
I do. Thank you for having me on. So I'm happy to announce that Jeremy DiPaolo and I are launching a Star Wars CCG podcast. And the first episode should be up live in the next week. It's already recorded. Jeremy's got it in post-production. We've already recorded the 2nd episode. We have a plan for our 3rd and 4th episode. So the thinking behind the episode was I was definitely inspired a bit by Kendall's content throughout the pandemic. And one night I remember being bored and just threw up in Slack, hey, I'm thinking about doing a podcast called The Kessling Run, where I interview players, past and present, just about their experiences with the game, their journey through the game, everything about that. And the reaction I got was super positive. And then I started looking into all that it goes into like editing and producing the podcast. And I realized I don't know that I have time to like find the guests, do all this work. But the idea had been in my mind. And I brought it up again just like one day when we were playing cards, and Jeremy said, I think that would be super fun. Like, I'd love to get involved in something like that. And so I said, well, do you know Jeremy's very tech savvy? I mean, he does a lot of the work on GIMP. I know like barely enough to scratch the surface to be dangerous when it comes to technology. But Jeremy was like, oh yeah, I'm sure I could figure it out. Like I'd be happy to look into doing all of that, like editing and production. And I said, well, what if I'm in charge of like scheduling, finding the guests, doing the research, figuring out the questions, like generally the outline of where we want the interview to go. And then, excuse me, and then you do more of the post-production, splicing things together, editing, adding sound effects, fades, whatever it is. And so that's how we're divvying up the labor essentially. So Jeremy serves as co-host and producer. And we've done 2 episodes. The first episode, I'm pleased to announce, is with one of my best friends, old school Star Wars player Clint Hayes, who has most recently only played in 2012 Continentals. But he has a great history with the game, one of the most successful runs of any player back when Decipher had the game in print. And then just some fun stories that you would have never been told before out to a broad audience about his experience with cards. So the theme of the podcast is if anyone watches professional wrestling or listens to Something to Wrestle with Bruce Prichard, it's kind of like, let's do that. Let's go through the history of your game, your experience with the game. We're not going to have short episodes necessarily. Like the second episode, I'll wait to announce who that's with, but I think when it's all spliced together, it will be easily more than 2 hours through just on the interview. So we're specifically going long. We haven't decided if we're going to split those into multiple episodes or just release them as one long episode. Right now we're inclined to just say it's a long episode. And the podcast, we have a sponsor, swccgguards.com, Brian Fred's store, the best hunk of cardboard in the galaxy. So I'm taking over the airwaves to a second just to plug Brian in the store, and also as being the presenting sponsor of the Kessling Run. And so basically every episode is going to start with quick intro, interview, and then transition, if it's a current player, into talking about like current events of the game quickly. And then we're expecting hopefully to release an episode every other week. We haven't decided on a day yet, but likely maybe Mondays. Jeremy will decide when he wants to drop it, but hoping for 2 episodes a month, and then maybe some bonus episodes. Like Greg and I are planning to record ongoing audio tournament report at Nationals.
There you go. I like that. Like, so Brian Fred is sponsoring, like who's paying who? Like how much are you guys paying him to be your sponsor?
We have also signed a non-disclosure agreement, so any details of said arrangement would have to go through representation. So email CRG.
Oh, CRG. Like, okay, so
yeah, he handles all of the team legal affairs.
Oh God, no wonder you guys are so stacked. Like, that dude just does 2 things in life: running and legal.
And contributing member of the team.
Yeah, legal.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, yes, so that's the gist. Hopefully people will enjoy it. Jeremy will figure out how to get it onto all the major podcast platforms. It will be called The Kessling Run. The show's email is thekesslingrun@gmail.com. And appreciate the opportunity to promote it here.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll have to get you and Jeremy on to discuss the Kessling Run at some point. And you know what? Like, if you guys have a logo and everything, I'll definitely make sure you guys get some props on over the next couple of weeks and everything. Once you guys get the ball rolling, definitely going to support. Like, one thing that I'm going to be doing over the next couple of weeks is highlight a lot of the content creators that are out there. Next week, just as a pre-plug, is going to be Edward Shien, but I'll talk a little bit more about him once we're done with the interview and everything. But no, like, I'm glad more content is always good. So I guess the big question is, how many are we going to be like are we going to be giving like any of the secrets behind the stuff for New Allies during these podcasts?
Behind what part of New Allies?
Are we going to have like any of the secret stuff that you guys talk about?
Oh, I think like as part of the audio tournament report, I imagine we will talk through all of our deck discussions, what we were thinking about, like, Yeah, I think that would make it very interesting for everybody, just like what
Nice.
our thought process was. And then on the back end of that event, we can see how right or wrong we were
There you go.
about
I like that.
our opinions on things, because we frequently are on opposite sides of opinions on various things, especially with other, like Team 5, Joe and Hayes, I would say, often have a different view of the meta than we do. So like,
Yeah.
it's interesting if we can pre-record our thoughts and then see on the back end who is right.
No, I'm definitely glad. I'm definitely going to be looking forward to hearing you and Greg and all your team members contributing to that audio tournament report. But yeah, but really quick, let's go ahead. Like I said, we have about a 45 minute long interview with uh, Eric S. from the Dutch League. We talk a little bit about the Dutch League, and we talk a little bit about like the experience of playing over in Europe. So, and then and some of the difference between Europe and American players. So, hope everybody enjoys the interview, and then I'll be back afterwards just to wrap this up. I think Mike can.
I'm going to drop. So
Yeah,
thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing everybody at Nationals. And Eric, look forward to the interview. I believe it's Speaksma.
Yeah, Speaksma. Really quick before you go, give us a token for tonight.
This is any card off
any
the top
card
of my
you
head.
want.
U3PO.
Boo. Nobody likes that card, but it works.
It's my favorite card of all time.
That says a lot about you.
It's so beautiful. White border especially.
God. White border Japanese U3PO.
I don't think that there's anything better in life.
Wow. Does Bret the Hitman Hart know?
He probably approves.
Okay, well, everybody enjoy the interview, and I'll be back afterwards. Again, thanks, Mike, for coming on. And, yeah, enjoy, everybody. Okay, so, again, here I am with Eric Spikesma. Again, sorry if I pronounced it incorrectly or anything.
No, perfect.
We just went over this like 30 seconds ago, but just I'm really bad with names and words, and
no
everybody's
worries.
Seen that throughout the years. But
Dutch isn't easy to pronounce.
Every language for me seems like it's hard to pronounce. So you are over there in Europe. You're in the Dutch in the Dutch league and everything.
Yeah.
You also recently came over to Endor.
Yes.
So, first of all, let's talk about that really quick. So, you and Koen came over and played at Endor. So, how was that as an experience?
Well, me and Koen traveled to the Morristown Worlds in 2018, I think.
Okay,
that was. Yeah. Just because we wanted to experience a US Worlds for once. And after that, we did some traveling through northeastern of the US and a little bit of Canada.
Okay.
And then Gosse decided to move to Seattle. And so me and Koen were talking like, interesting. We could combine visiting Gosse with an Endor Grand Prix maybe, and do some traveling afterwards because we had a great time the first time we did that. And then COVID happened. Not at first because there was one in January, but I'm in finance and January is just the busiest month of the year, so I couldn't travel then. So and then COVID happened, obviously.
Yeah.
So this year we were like, maybe we should try to get either to Endor or maybe Worlds and do some traveling afterwards again. And this February we were just like, okay, screw it. We're gonna book our plane tickets and we're going. And we went. And we had a great time. It was really good to see some old faces again and some new faces. Obviously we've met Kessling a few times because he's been to Europe a few times as well.
Yeah.
And B-Fred. It was really good to see all those guys again. And leading up to the trip, we had a lot of messages from Brandon and Hayes, giving advice, tips on where to go after we visited Gosse in Seattle. So yeah, it was amazing to play Star Wars in real life again, because yeah, obviously we haven't had that in Europe for a while, and yeah, just seeing everyone again was really good. Yeah.
And so, how was the experience playing like American players for the first time in like
Um,
a while? Like, are you on Gemp?
yeah, I am. Yes, I play in the OCS. I'm just playing 8 games a month, and that's fine for me. Because most of my working day is behind the screen, and yeah, it can be challenging to get behind the screen again at night to
Mm-hmm.
push through those 12 games a month. I mean, we're not all like Dylan. So yeah,
Nobody is.
no, that's true. Um, yeah, well, it is obviously different than the European meta in general.
Mm-hmm.
We tend to play a little less mains over here. We're more like scrubs and funny things and weird things,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah. So I'd been playing Old Allies for a while, so I was comfortable with that. And obviously, it's still one of the strongest light side decks at the
Mm-hmm.
moment. So I couldn't do too much wrong there. If I did, it was me and not the deck. And I really struggled for dark side. So we had been talking a bit about it leading up to the trip, but we actually came up with a deck on the plane.
Okay,
But
that's I love that. Like, last minute
but
deck ideas is great.
yeah, well, we had like 10 hours to kill, so yeah. Um, and it was a Mustafar CRV tie deck with dreaded Imperial Starfleet to cancel drains, Tarkin's orders to cancel drains, and basically try to outdamage the mains decks we were expecting. And also, if they come after you in space, you have a few reacting ships, all powered to weapons, starship
Okay,
weapons. So yeah, if they come after you in space, well, good luck with that. And unless they
I
can,
like that.
unless they can spread out, and I went 2-2 with both decks, so I can't complain. In the final match, I lost to Hayes.
Ooh.
I wasn't sure if he was playing any space, so I was a bit too hesitant at first. Yeah, it was like 3 fourths difference in the end or so. If I had won that, I might have been top 8 because I was 4-3 and I had pretty decent SOS.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, I was happy to just play, and at least one of us made the top 8, and so yeah.
Yeah, and we know that Cone made the top 8 as well,
Yeah,
uh, and he did a really good showing. Like, I don't like once people knew that you and Kuhn were coming over, it was like, oh well, who are these Europeans coming over? Like,
yeah,
and I don't think anybody really like. I know that you guys are really good players, so it was a really big surprise to me that well, it wasn't really a surprise to me that you guys did so well because, like I said, Kuhn has had a lot of success as you as well. But
yeah. Kuhn has a few top 8s in the Europeans. Has top 12 Euro Worlds, I think.
mhm.
So yeah, and Kuhn has back into the Cyber era. He's been to a few Worlds as well, so he's really a good player.
Mhm.
I'm an okay player, I would say. Yeah, I'm not. I don't consider myself a really good player, but I can, if I know my decks, I can play them well,
Mhm.
and that, yeah.
And
So
but I
yeah,
mean, I'm just glad that you had fun. So, uh,
yeah, for sure.
and then you didn't play in the Constellation. You played like a board game. Was that right? You played. I think you played Bastion's game.
Yes. Well, I didn't want to play in the Constellation because I just wanted to hang out and talk to some people,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, just make some new connections across the pond. So yeah, I didn't play in the consolation. Also wanted to support Koen, obviously, and well, and after he was eliminated against Jeff, we played a board game, Arc Nova. It's one of his favorite games. It's a game Bastion's company designed, and Koen wanted to bring that to the US to introduce it to a few of you guys. A lot of the US people seemed interested in it. At least Hayes got really into it. He almost won his first game, but Koen managed to squeeze out a win there. But yeah, I've never seen Hayes stand up that much, so that must be a good sign. Yeah.
And the thing is, like, once he stands up, he looms over everybody because he's so tall.
I know, and I'm really small, so yeah.
So, how was the rest of your trip afterwards, after the event?
Well, the first week wasn't entirely as we hoped because I got COVID during the Andorra Grand Prix weekend, so we couldn't stay at Gosses, unfortunately. Yeah, sucks. So yeah, I know. Yeah, so that was a bit disappointing. But after that, we had a great trip. We've seen, we drove about 3,500 miles, I think. So yeah, wow. Yeah, we flew home from Denver. So we've been to Yellowstone, Grand Tetons, Olympic, Rocky Mountains. Yeah, so it was awesome to see all those things we don't have. I mean, the Netherlands is kind of flat. So seeing all those impressive mountains, still snowy, yeah, it was great.
And you didn't visit Jerry Queso's house, did you?
No. We talked about it, but because he just had a kid, and we didn't want to impose. We talked to Brandon a lot, and we were planning on visiting him in Portland.
Okay.
So we stayed a few days in Portland, but he was sick as well, so we couldn't really meet up. So that was a bit disappointing. But and we talked to Paul, I think, Tech Terror.
Oh, Paul Coggins. Okay.
Yes, he lives a little north of Denver, I think. So we talked to him a bit, but yeah, just didn't work out to meet up. But we got some great advice from several people on what to do, where to stay. So yeah, that was really good.
And was there anything that you really saw besides like the mountains that you really liked?
Well, Yellowstone was really amazing. I'm really happy we got to see it now and not like now. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy what's going on right now. And
yeah, and we talked to several people there, and they talked about the drought that's there apparently for a long time now. And then you see those images of the flooding. It's wow.
It's terrible.
Yeah, and it's hard to believe we were there like 2 months ago. I mean, yeah. So Yellowstone was really, really impressive. But in general, it was nice to be away from the daily routine for a while. And we were just happy in general to be able to travel again. So yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about you and what really got you into the game. So how long have you been playing Star Wars?
Well, I started playing Star Wars in high school, like most of us, I guess. I'd seen the Star Wars movies, but Gosse and one of my best friends, Stefan Boersma, started playing Star Wars in high school.
Okay.
And I was like, that looks interesting. Let's buy me a few packs. And then we started playing during our lunch break, that sort of thing, and messed around a bit after school. I was more of a collector than a player back then.
Yeah.
And that continued until we went to college, I guess. Then we lost interest, didn't have the time. But a few years after college, I ran into Gosse again, and he said, let's meet up. And do you still have your cards? I said, sure. So just build a few decks and see how it goes. So after that we started playing semi-regularly again, and then he told us, well, there's now virtual cards now. You should check it out, and there's a tournament in the Netherlands in a few months. Maybe we should go. And there were like 15 virtual sets, and we're like, what the heck is going on here?
Wow.
So a bit of an information backlog, I suppose.
I was going to say, like, at that point, there's just so many cards that you have to go through and look at. Now, did you go online and like look at decks or anything and figure out what
I net decked a few some stuff, and I really liked the Wookiees back then.
Okay.
Just a few of those hairballs with amazing power. That was it was fun. And also there was I don't remember what it's called, but it was an open-ended objective. You could either play Rebels, Resistance, or
it was like smugglers or something, like scoundrels.
Yeah, scoundrels was a bit later, but you could play Rebels, Republic, or Aliens, I guess, and Jedi. And that I found that really interesting, so I played that a lot. Can't remember what I played for Darkside. Probably Ages of Black Sun with the female effect.
The Mistrals.
Yes, exactly. I played that quite a bit. Yeah.
They were
so
fun.
mainly Aliens. Yes.
So, what do you think about, like, you said that you like the Wookiees? What do you think about like the Wookiees now that we have compared to the Wookiees back in the Legacy era?
I think there's something there, but it's not quite there yet. I mean, especially the starting the location with the disappearing Darkside icon. Darkside can still deploy there first, and then you're screwed.
Yeah.
So if that weren't possible, then if you had a safe site to start, probably something there. I think the power potential is there, but it still needs a bit of a push, I guess.
Yeah. So you were talking about how you got into collecting the game first versus as a player. So what were some of the cards that you enjoyed collecting? Like, what were some of your favorite cards throughout the years?
Well, I pulled a Avenger out of my first pack.
Okay.
So
that's a good one.
I know. Yeah, so starships always had an appeal to me. Flying in general always had an appeal to me. So the starships were my favorite cards back then, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've always been like a big fan of like the Star Wars ships. Like, I'm one of the few people that prefer like the X-wing over the Millennium Falcon for some reason. Like, I don't know if it's just because it's like a fighter, and I've always grew up liking like the World War II era fighters. So don't get me wrong, the Falcon's cool, but the X-wing is just, to me, it's so much cooler.
I played X-wing versus TIE Fighter a lot.
Same.
And Rogue Squadron, that sort of thing. Flying that X-wing, I mean, I don't know what it is, but it's an amazing feeling. So the fighters were definitely on the top of my list.
Yeah, and then so have you dabbled into like the Y4 ops or kind of like the fighter types of decks? Like,
for my donation foils last year, I chose the Y4 ops objective and epic event. So that says something, I guess.
It kind of stinks because they came out with like the cooler image recently, so now they gotta I would talk to Jared and be like, hey, can I get another one made and have it a little bit with the cooler image?
That would be awesome.
So okay, I don't know what I did there, but I lost you for a second.
Okay.
That would have been bad. So you grew up like in the Starship, so have you tried like the new Set Your Course deck that I know Brad Reinhold played at Endor, where you have like the Star Destroyers, you blow up all the
I played Verge last year.
Okay, that's a good one.
In the last months of OCS, something similar to what Bfred played at Endor, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But he played it obviously a lot better. But I haven't tried the Sigfa yet, because I find Sigfa a bit annoying. Just dump an fully immune character at the docking bay. And well, I played Sigfa matching ships a few years back.
Okay.
And then just EPP Mall for some hit and runs on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And really high destiny overall, so you could clear the side with just one character.
Okay.
I played that a bit in what was it, 3 years ago, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and I also played Watcher Step a lot until it fell off the radar a bit. I haven't tried the new Watcher Step yet, but it seems interesting. It seems different.
And that's does.
Yeah. But ground for Watcher Step is still the biggest issue.
Yeah. Like I know, there was a recent. I know some people have been toying with like playing Luke in space and everything, but like you said, ground has been the issue for Watcher Step for years. So maybe we'll see, like with the help of Cornhorn and Mara Jade and all those little characters, maybe that we'll have a better Watcher Step.
Yeah, and it really helps that your force rank can't be cancelled or reduced if you have 2 smugglers now. So that's big.
Yes.
So yeah, if you can find a way to keep some characters on the ground, it can be good, I think. But against decks like, especially now that Map is going to get an errata on the resistance agent, you could make Mara your resistance agent with talent card defense value 7. That could be something.
Yeah.
So it might be getting there. It feels like it just needs a little push to get some extra protection on the ground, but nothing like Chewie's ATST back in the day. Because that was just crazy.
please no. Like, I don't know if Chris Kelly's watching, but please no Chewie ATSC.
Well, it would be fun to have a virtual card of that, but not like it was back. No.
Yeah, I fully agree. So we talked a little bit, like, so you play on GEMP. What are like some of the formats that you like to play on GEMP?
Well, I do play OCS, but I only play OCS for the foils, honestly. I do enjoy the Father's Day fundraiser event because it's a bit more gimmicky and not as tier 1 as OCS.
Hopefully, I know there's people who are trying to win it. Apparently, like I know Timo's trying to win it and Greg Shaw, but
now, I played a weird Rey Skywalker Saga deck, and just hit and run with Rey with lightsaber, Finn 4 times the add 2 destiny effect, and retrieve 3 every battle you initiate.
Okay.
So yeah, and also I still have to play the Obi Muning from Matt Crewley. That seems like a lot of fun to play.
When you do like 97 damage in the overflow, but they have the Gick though, that's the problem.
Yeah, well, hopefully there can be a Dutch League event where Gick is banned or something. That would be fun.
So you mentioned the Dutch League right there.
Yeah.
Now the Dutch League seems like it's a little bit more innovative than just your regular league events, like they just do opens and Jawas. Like, what do you guys do that's so different than everybody else?
Well, it started with COVID, basically. And we is me, Tom, and Flores, who
Okay.
basically run the league. Um, we felt like interest was a bit down, and people didn't want to. Some people didn't like playing online. We missed the talk to each other, banter a bit, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so we did a test run with a Watto's cube
Okay.
on GAMP, just 35-minute games. But we used Zoom to first meet up, chat a bit, and then open rooms for the matchups. So
Okay.
you could actually talk to your opponent, and the game was not as important as was chatting to each other and just staying in contact. So we started with that. It was a big success. We had like 12 players, I think, for the
Okay.
first event.
That's really good.
Yeah, some returning players who were also playing in the retro event back then, the Premier Dead Set 2 event. So they only played in the Decipher era, so but they tried out the cube, had a lot of fun. So after that, we tried to keep some interesting stuff happening, invite some guests. We had Bastian on one of our events, and he came up with a band list.
Okay.
Um,
I'm curious to hear what kind of ban list Bastion would have.
well, it's still somewhere on the forums, I bet.
Okay.
But he basically banned every main persona, except for Chewie and Lando, I think.
Okay.
um, and so yeah, we really had to come up with some weird stuff there, which was fun. I played don't remember what I played for Dark Side, but for Light Side I played a hot CPV beatdown type of deck with Chewie Enraged and then Jedi Presence on Ahsoka, and Yoda, I think, that
Okay.
sort of thing. It screamed drops V from the start, but I didn't play it because I hate it. But there were some people who played well. Yeah. So that's something we did. We also came up with our own ban list, so everyone could ban 2 cards, one light side, one dark side.
That sounds good. I like that.
Just to try some, because well, there are people who love playing WAP, but with Decree out, it's impossible, or Profit.
Yeah.
So you could ban Decree and be able to play that. There were a few people who banned Gik and Hujix.
What?
Just to see what happens. Yeah, that sort of thing. We had a objective design contest where everyone could design a objective and up to 8 supporting cards, I think. And Gosse and Emil, who were in design back then, were the judges on what text were allowed, text spaces, that sort of thing. So we had some official-ish ruling, and it was really fun to see what everyone came up with, because well, you could pick something from your favorite legend era book or whatever, or I had an objective based around rebels and the liberation of Lothal. There was some flipping starships from I can't remember. Tom made that an ISB-ish type of deck.
Interesting.
Based on Coruscant. Martin came up with some weird Senate type deck where you could flip Palpatine from the good guy to the bad guy, that sort of thing. Yeah, it was really fun.
Are these like cards and deck ideas out there still?
Yeah, it should still be on the forums Dream Cards section, I think.
Oh, the Dream cards. Okay. Yeah, because I mean, I know just like you guys talking about this, like you talking about this right now makes me want to go see like some of these stuff, because like I'm a huge Rebels fan. I like the idea of the Phoenix Squadron and everything. I like what they did with Thrawn, so I mean, I would love to see more of that.
Yeah.
But I mean, we have like some of the good cards came from Rebels, like Hera,
For sure.
Ahsoka.
Yeah, Sabine is really good. I think bit narrow in Dex, but she can with a stun blaster she can be really annoying.
Yeah, just
Uh,
ask Matt Carulli.
exactly, but also the ping of 2 if you win a battle, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Sap can be really interesting, especially in a Walker meta, because your rebels can't be targeted by trample, which can be useful.
Yeah, I just wish like Chopper had the rebel icon as well. Like
Well,
that's
he
just
has. Uh, Maybe I don't know. Does he have Phoenix Squadron in his lore?
I don't think any of
Uh,
them do.
the Ghost does,
Yeah,
I
the
think.
Ghost does, but I don't think any of the characters do, which is just a shame.
Yeah,
Like maybe
but
we'll see it sometime in the future. Hopefully, Chris Kelly and our design will be like, oh, well, let's go back to Rebels because people like it instead of just
yeah,
focusing on
exactly.
the news trilogy.
Yeah, so that was something we did last year. This year it's a bit more hybrid because we're at least gonna have 2 live events.
Okay.
But our first event this year was an Outrider Cup style event. So
Okay.
we split up our local players and invited 2 team captains. We were gonna ask Chris Menzel and Tomas, who currently is the Euro Emperor, but unfortunately they couldn't make it. So we had to settle for Emil and Kevin.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, you're settling for Emil and Kevin.
yes, yeah. So it was really good to well talk to those guys again, and we played until midnight or so. We because it was only 2 games aside per person,
Okay.
so it was kind of short. That's also something different we do. We plan our events in one night, so just play 4
Okay.
games and that's it. So you don't have to spread it out over several weeks. We can chat with each other, hang out a bit. Most of the time, someone falls asleep drunk. The person who does that knows who he is. I'm not going to mention names.
Oh, okay, okay. We won't. Okay, yeah, we won't mention any names. But can you? No,
Oh,
is it a member of Team Wales?
no. This is a Dutch guy
Okay.
who's done it twice now. So
Jeez.
yes,
Wow.
I don't think you've met him yet, but
No, not yet. I'm hoping to meet all you guys when if I come over to Worlds next year.
oh, you should.
Like everybody tells me, you got to come to Europe Worlds. It's so much
It's
fun.
totally different than US Worlds.
Yeah, US.
It is about is about the cards, but it's not about the cards. I mean, yeah, that's and that's also how I try to approach events in general. I'm there for the people, and yes, we play cards, and when I play, I want to win, but I know I'm not going to win the event. I mean, there are so much more talented players than I am, so I'm just there for the people, for the drinks. Yeah.
I think that's a lot of us. Like I feel the same way at this point. Like I don't go to majors to win. I mean, I would love to make it. I would love to do well.
Obviously,
but
I don't want to scrub out. But I mean,
there's too many Joelsons, Justin Desai's, Bastions, and
yes,
etc. In the world at this point.
For sure, yeah.
But so yeah, I love hearing about like these little innovative leagues that you guys are doing. So what's the next like event that you guys are doing?
Well, we have an event in 3 weeks, but that's just an open event because the weekend after that is the Naboo Regionals.
Okay.
In I shouldn't say in the UK. Kevin would kill me if I would say it was in England because it's in Wales. Yeah, we're going with 5 Dutch guys, 2 Belgian guys, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's 26 people signed up already,
wow.
So it's shaping to be more than just a regular regional, I guess.
And and this is in a few weeks.
Yes.
Okay.
July 23rd, I think.
So it is going to be after the U.S. Nationals. So
Yes.
I don't know if I know the next V set was announced to be after Nationals. Is that going to affect you guys in any way?
Don't think so.
Okay.
Don't think it will drop the day after Nationals. Um, well, it could,
It
but
could.
before it's legal, and the tournament director can also always decide not to make it legal
True.
for the. So don't think it's going to affect us too much, but who knows? It could be interesting to make it live, but uh, also depends on what's in the set, I suppose.
That is a good point. So yeah, so you guys got, you said 5 Dutch guys. Like so besides yourself, who's all going from your area?
Uh, Koen is going. Fox, Stefan de Vos,
Okay.
who made the first Outrider Europe Outrider
Mm-hmm.
Cup team. Tom Damon, who also made the Outrider Cup team,
Mm-hmm.
and Martin de Boef.
Okay.
And Cedric and Jeroen from Belgium are also they're also in our league because
Okay.
well, we're pretty
Mm-hmm.
close to each other, and especially when we only played online, it was so much simpler to include them. It's a bit more challenging now because of travel time, that sort of thing, but
Mm-hmm.
we try to include them as much as we can because there's only 2, maybe 3 active players in Belgium now. So yeah,
Yeah.
not enough to make their own league. So yeah, that's 7. There's a few Germans going. Emil is going,
Oh, nice.
and a lot of new English, British players. ID Track is going to be there, I think.
Okay.
Silver Glen. So yeah, it's,
Have you heard that Bastion's going to go or not?
don't think Bastion's going. Angelo is going. It's
Okay.
going to be his first tournament since 2019 Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
So the last Euro Worlds. I don't think he played after that. So yeah. Uh, Kieran is going. Catwall.
Okay.
Um, don't know if Dylan is going to go.
I yeah, I'll have to ask him at some point. Encourage
Yeah,
him to
but
go.
yeah. So yeah, I think there's 26 signed up, something like that
Mm-hmm.
right now. So it's gonna be fun.
That's great. And
Yeah.
so I know I hate to bring this up, but what are like? Is there any really major travel restrictions still with COVID or anything for you guys?
Not at the moment, but that's not the biggest issue flying over here now because there's quite a few European airports that have trouble finding enough personnel to deal with
Oh,
luggage and customs sort of thing. So
yeah.
there's quite a few flights canceled already. Also from Amsterdam, where we're flying from, obviously. So we're hoping our flight's going to make it, but
Mm-hmm.
we're not entirely sure now. So yeah, it's kind of stressful. Well, not stressful, but kind of annoying mostly
Mm-hmm.
because now we're finally able to have in-person events in Europe again, and now
Yeah.
this happens. So yeah, it's a bit tricky at the moment. Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about like the current decks like we did for Endor, but what are you thinking about playing for this Naboo regionals? Like, are you going to go with more of like a normal meta that you saw like at Endor, or are you going to bring out something that you built on the plane?
No, it's only an hour, so probably not on the plane. But yeah, light side, I'm probably just gonna play Old Allies. I've been playing it since February or March, so I'm pretty
Okay.
confident with it. Might make some changes now that Shadow Collective is a little less uh, played at the moment. So, but now you have the Revenge of the Sith decks who
Yeah.
started to come up. So might make some changes, but probably Old Allies for light side and dark side. I'm not entirely sure what to play yet. Also, we're gonna have some talks about who's gonna be there, what they're gonna play. So maybe try to find something that works against the decks we expect. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll see. Dark side is a bit of a mystery at the moment.
Interesting.
For some reason, I have more trouble finding a dark side deck I like than a light side deck, because I used to play Cord a lot.
Okay.
And that's not really a thing at the moment.
I was gonna say, don't tell that to Joker King or Corrin. That's like their favorite deck.
Yeah, it was mine too, but unlike Corrin, I'm not playing it at the moment. Well, I was playing it in the Father's Day fundraiser. I'm 2-2 with it, so I can't complain.
Hey, that's not bad. I mean,
I know
it's better than losing with the deck.
True.
Like,
and Jawa's coming up, so maybe I could squeeze out a win or two with Cord in the Jawa event. Not entirely sure, but I wouldn't bring it to an open event at the moment.
I mean, there's CCT that does kind of the same thing.
Yeah, but not entirely. I mean, I feel Cord is a more aggressive deck, and less of a controlled kind deck, which CCT feels like at the moment. As long as you can avoid the battles at the audience chamber, you can sort of find a way to get to the opponent's weaker spot instead of just it's less about the battling yourself. You can only battle at the and Cord is slightly more aggressive. I feel like Cord's obviously has easier access to the space package, which can be good. But yeah, it's more aggressive. I mean, you have Boba Fett Bounty Hunter instead of Boba Fett. I mean, that's a big difference. And he's flexible. He's not stuck at the audience chamber, so that changes the game plan.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, but I mean, you still got scum. You still got a bunch of aliens.
True.
I don't know. I mean, at least you're not playing 12-card throne room.
No. No. I don't know. I don't think I've ever played a mains deck. I'm not comfortable playing mains.
Yeah, trust me, I'm kind of the same way.
I don't know why, but it feels boring to me. Just battling it out over a single battleground. I mean, come on. What's the fun in that? I mean, yes, you have lightsabers, but that's it.
Yeah.
You don't have wacky game text. You don't have silly stuff. Yeah. I love ISB I love the ISB characters for that reason. They all have interesting game text instead of at a Battle Destiny immune to attrition. Blast the deflection is canceled, whatever.
Subtracting 3 from Battle Destiny, yeah. ISB is, again, it's like one of my favorite decks too. Like I like the control aspect, the ability to I like having those extra game texts and just those characters that do different stuff versus I have a character with a lightsaber. That's all I do. Yeah.
I mean, I can't remember his name at the moment, but the bomber pilot who soaks up all your battle damage and attrition.
Oh, Captain Jonas.
Yes.
Yeah, he's fun.
I mean, who wouldn't want to play him like 3 times and just play him with I can shake him combo to get him back and retrieve him every turn? I mean, yes, it's annoying, but I mean,
it's fun for you.
Exactly. You don't have to commit like 12 to 15 cards to keep in space. I mean, you can just drop him and another ship and you still have everything you need.
I agree 100% on that.
So yeah, that's more of the type of decks I like to play.
Hey, maybe that's the dark side there for you. Captain Jonas ISB.
Interesting. I don't think ISB is in that bad spot at the moment, but dark side has so many choices that ISB really isn't that high on the list. But I don't think it's changed that much since Joe won his NPC with it, online NPC with it, I think.
Wow, that was 2 years ago.
2 years already?
I think so.
Ah,
Or was it last? You know,
it was last year, I think. Yeah,
Wow,
but
it just
still
feels like it
over a
was 2
year
years.
ago. But
Yeah.
the deck hasn't changed that much,
No.
and I think it's still pretty decent, especially if light side only plays mains.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So yeah,
That's a very good point. But well, I do wish you the best of luck at the event, and
thank
hopefully
you.
you guys get there and have an amazing time. Hopefully, Team Wales provides you guys with an interesting afternoon.
Oh, I'm sure they will. It starts on Friday night with the traditional bowling tournament.
A bowling tournament? Oh my
Yes.
gosh, man!
Yeah, Kevin runs a bowling alley, and so Friday night is bowling night.
Oh my gosh, that sounds
He has a
amazing.
special trophy for that as well. So,
Oh, we need to have a picture of it at some point.
I'm pretty sure there's somewhere on the forums there's one. I think Kieran won it at least once.
Okay.
Silver Glen hates to participate, so he tries to tries to avoid it by arriving late. So yeah, so it starts with the bowling and beers, obviously, on Friday night, and then we're all ready, racked when we start the tournament on Saturday.
That's great.
So,
I love it. I love it. That's amazing.
yeah,
So again, but yeah, I do wish you the best at the event. I hope you have
thanks.
a great time. I hope you do well, but I hope you have a great time first of all. So
I'm sure I will.
But again, thank you for coming on. It has been a pleasure talking to you, sir.
Thanks.
And
Thanks for having me.
Anytime. We'll have to do this again at some point.
Sure.
So take care, and I will be talking to you later.
No problem.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, everyone. So again, thank you to Eric for doing that interview. Again, that was a pre-recorded interview, so he took time out of his busy schedule to do that interview and everything. Again, thank you to Mike for coming on and announcing his new podcast, The Kessling Run, with Jeremy DePaulo. And so next week, I'm going to have Edward Chien on to highlight his YouTube videos on how to play Star Wars CCG. And then, yeah, we're going to be getting down to Nationals in a few weeks. So everybody make sure you sign up for those. Get in your OCS games as well as the last Father's Day fundraiser event games in if you got any of those left. And then I will see everybody later on next week. Also be on the lookout. We're going to try and do some of the retro event try and stream some more of those games as well. So make sure you guys stay tuned to the forums, Slack, Twitter, all that fun stuff. And then I'll be back on next week with Edward, and we'll see who else. So until then, everybody take care. Have a good weekend. And as always, may the Force be with you.